I know the words just flow because I'm getting lower than you see me get before. And please don't ignore me like I'm something you forgot at the corner store. Take a look at my book, I got a whole world to explore. I won't be a bore. Love's infectious, it's about it for sure. Can't you see me coming back for war? And don't slap me across the place, me in disgrace. Now you can't relate to my everyday life. I was doing it right till you came along and broke my stride. Volume high, not to drown it out. To end love.
Hello, welcome to episode 57 of the My Two Tips podcast. My name is Elise, and I am coming to you today with a little bit of stuff. Not too much. I think I'm gonna do this first little bit separate because I want to talk to you about some projects that I have on the go, one that I finished, and then I think a separate video for an in-city. I think. We'll see what happens. So I am so hot today. So sweaty. Which is bizarre. It's been cold, it's been rainy, but today turns out to be like a super sunny day. It is what it is. First things first, you can find me on Ravelry as E Garnier. I am on Instagram as E_Garnier. The podcast has a group on Ravelry, My Two Tips podcast, and you can also email any questions or something, whatever you might want to send an email about, to mytwotips@gmail.com. Yay, get that out of the way. So let's talk about the thing that I have finished first. Again, not 100% sure how clearly it'll show. I just took finished object photos. This is the Morning Mist top. The back has a lace panel on it, which I do realize you can't see much of because of the yarn I chose being dark and speckly, so you kind of lose the lace panel, but it is still there. I used Cascade Roslyn for the yarn, which I believe is an 80/20 woolen silk blend, and it's, I don't know, the black with light blue and white flecks in it. I do really like it. It's just a little warm, so I think perfect timing because the weather is going to cool down that I'll probably actually get a lot of wear out of it, which will be great. And I just did little short sleeves. I was contemplating doing full length sleeves, but with how warm the short sleeve version is, pretty happy that I decided not to go with full length ones for that. It's a simple enough knit. For some reason it just took me quite a long time. Yes, there were other projects that kind of came into, I guess, rotation once this had already been on the needles, that kind of slowed me down and took my attention away, but I felt like every round I did, like in the majority of the body, just seemed to go really, really, really slow, which it's just stockinette. I don't know, just took a long time, but it's a nice knit. I would consider knitting it again, but in probably a linen, because linen I like for t-shirts. They're a little bit lighter, definitely not as warm, but that is this. I believe the designer is Annie Claire. I always seem to mess up her name for some reason. Don't know why, but good pattern, came out a few years ago, and that's it really. I'll insert some photos. I love it when you wear that sweater.
the showbiz or the cool kids sitting in the corner like they're hiding away from the way they used to fall in love with someone new every Saturday. I want you bad like they say in every cliche song about teenage love, just a few cruel jumbled up years.
In regards to what I am working on, I have my giris cardigan, which is coming along pretty good. So this is the back, obviously. There's lace in here. That's all done. And I am well through the body. I'm actually, I think I'm gonna start the ribbing now. I think I have about 14 inches of the body after the underarms. And if I knit, I believe it calls for 2 inches of ribbing at the bottom. That'll take it to 16 inches. Plenty long enough for me. So, it's coming along. I'm really liking it. The pattern is Grace by Jane Richmond. The yarn is the Weenuck base from Tuscan Knits. And it's in a slightly more purple version of her Pigwidgeon colorway. Really liking it. I've tried it on many times to see how it was fitting this time around. There is more than enough ease in this thing, which is exactly what I wanted. I want to be able to layer it over top of not just a tank top per se, but maybe a t-shirt. Definitely will be able to with this one. There is definitely some room in it. I'm excited to finish the body and then get started on the sleeves, because I think the sleeves should go fairly fast. I believe I have the right size needles in a 9.5 circular, so in a 9-inch circular, which is how I prefer to knit my sleeves because of the small circumference. Small needle just seems to go really fast. Yeah, that's it. Kind of rushed through those things.
Jesus, why you gotta be so loud? Let me be the one to make you shout. Oh, 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 I love it when you wear that sweater. Oh, oh.
Knit City just happened. So if you have been a fairly long-term viewer of the podcast, you would have heard of Knit City before. Maybe some of you have been as well. Knit City is Vancouver's main fiber yarn festival kind of thing. I don't really know what to call these things. Is it a convention? Maybe. It's Knit City weekend. That's what it is for me. So it just wrapped up this past weekend on the 29th and 30th of September, and I had a great on Friday. I got to hang out with Sarah's time 2. There was 2 Sarahs and Ashley. We first I met up with Sarah because I had to drop off some pattern copies and my sock sample to Pat Anna's, and then we just decided to hang out, chit chat. Sarah was working on an embroidery project. I was working on my Grace cardigan because that's kind of the only thing I really got right now. And we were just having a great time. It was a beautiful day. It was sunny, it was warm, and we hung out actually at the Peony, which is where Knit City is held, kind of around where a lot of the vendors were loading in all their stuff, which was kind of neat. Got to say hello to a few people, and that was fun. Nice to see people, as always, on Knit City weekend. But then when Sarah and Ashley, who I believe had taken a class, can't remember which one, however, not the most important thing, because we decided to go out tag along with them, join them to a little venture into Chinatown, get some pizza and some ice cream, hit up a few little stores in the Mount Pleasant area, and then we hit up 2 breweries, which were amazing. So good. So the first one we went to was Electric Bicycle, and I think the one that we all preferred the most was like a Mackinac Peach something something. I'm not quite sure what kind of beer it was. It was delicious, so it doesn't really matter. And it was hilarious that it was a Mackinac Peach beer, because as a big fan of Seinfeld, there's the Mackinac Peach episode. Amazing. The second brewery we went to was Storm Brewing, which I had never even heard of before, and it was fantastic. If you are somebody who likes a more fruity beer, they had tons of selection. It was great. The first one I tried was a watermelon beer. Again, can't remember what kind of beer it was, but it was so good. The one we ended up trying last was a pineapple upside down cake beer, and it was so good. So good that we each filled up a growler and took it with us. That's how good it was. Unplanned, I ended up going to the lecture with them as well. Sylvia, who is Soft Sweater, ended up having an extra ticket, and I gladly took it. The lecture was not my favorite thing in the world. I believe it was supposed to go from 7 o'clock till 10, and it didn't. I think we were out of there by shortly after 8. It's the first year that I've gone to any of the like evening events that are actually put on by Knit City, and depending on what they have planned for next year, I might just bypass as normal as well. I'm sure other podcasters will tell you that they had a great time and it was amazing, blah 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 blah, which good for them. I hope they had a good time. It wasn't my thing, which is fine. To each their own. We all have our preferences. Yeah, I could have spent my time elsewhere having a better time. Into Saturday, which is the first day that the marketplace opens, I drove over with my friend Trish, and she's kind of my driving buddy, and we actually didn't lose each other for I guess as much as we typically do, which was really nice. I actually got to spend a lot of time with Trish this year, which was fantastic. Saturday, there was lots of shopping, lots of trying to talk to people. When we first got in the morning, I think they were letting people in differently this year, that there wasn't like this huge rush of people in towards all the different booths. There was like just a little trickle of people in, so I got to talk to a few people before things went crazy, which was really, really nice. I think the first thing I actually picked up I had ordered previously. The first thing I picked up was in Holly O's booth, and it is a digital pocket scale, which I like to refer to as drug dealer scale, because it's tiny and goes down to like a really small decimal point, but it's just a battery operated scale. It's got the little tray. You can weigh things. So if you recall, I had finished the boho blush shawl, I think, on the last episode, and I had a good portion of that third skein of yarn left. Turns out I have 70 grams. 70 grams of the third skein left. So I was right to feel a little annoyed by that. But I have my scale now. I can weigh everything. makes me so happy. And honestly, $20, I think it actually came to like $22 with the taxes and everything. I was looking on Amazon and some of those scales on there were like $40, which I don't need to spend that kind of money on a scale. Like $20, $22 seems reasonable to me. Yeah. And then also from Holly's booth, which now looks messy because I dropped a little row off. She had some of Chantal's yarn, who is a Mud Punch. And I have never bought any of Chantal's yarn. Chantal. Always a name that messes me up when I see it spelled out. However, this is the ball I got. So it is self-striping sock yarn, an 80/20 base, and this color is called Feather Anthem. I decided that if I happened to see her yarn there, because I knew she was vending, if she had any of the skeins with like a minty stripe, it was allowed to come home with me, because I've realized in my stash I don't actually seem to have a lot of mint colored yarn, and I really was craving some mint colored yarn. So this fits the bill, and it's like different tonal grays, well, different tones of gray stripes, which neutral with a pop of mint totally fits what I'm into right now. So I'm excited to knit that up at some point. As for the next thing I needed to pick up, I had ordered this bag from Katie, who is, oh, now it's Atelier Kazuki Knits, I believe, or Atelier Kazuki. It's Katie. Everybody knows her bag. She uses the Japanese fabrics and makes very cute bags. I saw Katie post this print, good God, back in the, I don't even know if it was back in the summer, could have even been the spring. So it's a coffee print. There's coffee, milk, cafe au lait, cups of teacups and hot cocoa and just everything on there, which it's a neutral bag. It's cute, it's whimsical, but it's not like cartoony cute, which I'm kind of going away from. And it's also a Japanese knot style bag, which I don't have any of until now, so I'm really excited for this. I can't wait to use it. Yeah, it's got a plain, there is like a slight pattern on the white fabric on the inside, just very kind of like flowery plant, basic, nothing too frilly fancy. Yeah, very lightweight bag. I'm pretty excited for it. Probably a pair of socks, maybe even a shawl in there, and I'm very excited for that one. And then the rest of the weekend kind of got crazy. So I'm probably gonna just end up showing you a whole lot of yarn, which I know some people aren't into seeing, but it's a yarn festival. You buy yarn. It's kind of how the weekend goes. So the first booth I went to post like pre-order or arranged pickup stuff was the Julie Aslin booth. There it was from Twill and Print, and it is not gonna focus, but that's okay. It is one of Tiffany's row counters, and it says just one more, and then on the left side there's a spinny wheel, and on the right side there's a spinny wheel, and you can count your rows and repeats and things like that, which kind of excited for. I got the black kind of shiny metal. I'm so in love with it. I also bought two of the locking kind of pin backs because I have lost one pin before that just had a metal back to it. It might have even had like a rubber one. If it goes on anything that gets a lot of wear or movement, these locking back ones are worth the $1 that you might pay or the 50 cents extra that you might pay for them because it's not going anywhere. So very excited about that one. If you put yarn on a cone put up, I'm very, very into it. So Julie had brought her Nurtured Fine, which is a lace weight, I guess. It's pretty thin, pretty fine. But I also just knit a huge dress out of Holst fingering held single, so really fine yarn is not crazy to me. I've been there before. And with this one, this color is the Antlers colorway, and it is kind of like a creamy white base with some yellow tones and then purple. It's very pale. It looks gorgeous knit up. There was a sample, I don't even know if it was actually like a physical garment or if it was just like big machine knit pieces of fabric. Don't quite remember. But it was knit up in this colorway on a machine and it was just gorgeous. A little bit more of the purple seemed to kind of come through than the yellow, so I'm excited for that. And on a cone there is 112 grams, so it's about 4 ounces, and there's 780 yards. It might be a sweater. It might be a long tunic dress. I'm not entirely sure, but I needed to make sure that I got enough for something absolutely beautiful, which I did. And the base itself, so it's Nurtured Fine, non-superwash, and it is a combination of Rambouillet, Targhee, and Merino. Feels amazing. So excited for it. I went next. I have no idea, which is probably a bad thing. But the booths this year, so Knit City was usually organized the same way in the past 4 or 5 years. The entrance was at the same portion of the building. This year they flipped it on top of itself and made us go in from a different portion of the building. And it kind of messed with my head the whole weekend. I couldn't tell you which way was what. I couldn't tell you where kind of long-standing booths were because everything was in a different spot this year. So, what did I pick up next? I very well could have picked up this yarn next. So good. So this is some Woolfolk Snow, which is the extra fine merino that they do. And it says it is 100% Ovis 21 Ultimate Merino Wool. And this color is the 00 plus 27, which is also known as White and Jaune. So excited for this. So this is going to become Shannon Cook's Valley of the Moon shawl. And I'm very, very excited for it. I think it's going to be gorgeous. My friend Trish actually knit hers out of the black and white marled version of this yarn, and it's gorgeous. But I have a very soft spot for yellows, so it had to happen in this. And 4 is enough to make the shawl. Abundant Earthen Fiber booth, but the same yarn that I had already used was the one that was still taking my eye the most again. So I didn't buy from them directly, but I bought from their neighbors, which was the local color fiber studio. And I got their purple speckled colorway. And this is dyed with, I think it's madder and iron, and it is just a beautiful purple, kind of like a gray purple colorway. And I didn't get enough for a sweater. I resisted. I got 3 skeins, as you can see, and it's a DK weight. There's 230 yards per 100 grams. I'm not entirely sure what shawl this is going to be, but it will be a shawl. I don't think I'm gonna make it into like a cropped sweater because I think this needs to be a shawl. I could do a Fintry shawl, but I also got other yarn for a Fintry shawl. Maybe I'll have 2. We'll see. But I know how much I loved the Joseph and Annie yarn I got from them last year, so I know I'm gonna love this too. This is an 80-20 blend of American Merino and Oregon Rambouillet, which is milled from Abundant Earth and Fiber, so I know the quality is fantastic. Yay! Just a whole bunch. Purchased 6 skeins of lichen and lace. What does she call this? Rustic Heather Sport, which is 100% Canadian wool. It's a single ply, or it's a single. In the ash colorway, so it's, you know, charcoal gray. Good old neutral. I bought 6 skeins, which gives me over, it was over 1,200 yards, which is enough for just a plain basic sweater, which I'm hoping will be amazing. It feels really rustic, but it washes quite nicely, and it doesn't feel prickly. It just, you can tell that it is a non-superwash yarn, and it's amazing. Very excited for that one. Indigo Fiber, no, Indigo Dragonfly was coming back again this year. They weren't here last year, and I was hoping they would have been, so to see that they were here again this year made me very, very happy. This one was the first one that spoke to me, and it's her chameleon base, which is 63% extra fine superwash merino, and then 20% cashmere and 17% silk. And I'll try to put in some photos, but there is like this beautiful sheen of silk that kind of spirals around the whole yarn. It's really lovely. There's some little speckles in there. I think it'll make a fun pair of socks. And it's the Architecture colorway. Really like it. And then she brought her Kiwi Fluffin sock base, which her names are amazing for things. And this is 100% superwash Polworth sock yarn. I am so excited to try this out. I just got 2 very neutral colors. This one isn't quite that dark. It's a little bit brighter than that. But this blue one is Prince George in a Can Ada. And then this one is Sweet Georgia Straight. So those will make some really good socks. And I really like the feel of it. I don't think it's similar to a BFL, but not quite. Like, you can tell that there's a little bit more integrity to the yarn than a merino, but I think they'll be really fun. Very excited. Very glad that Kim was there again this year. Sample sock that I knit for the Bad Hannah's booth was in the Life in the Long Grass Bog Myrtle colorway. I got 3 skeins of the same color on their singles base, their single ply 100% merino. I love it. I'm going to make a sweater out of this, along with, let's see if I can hold all this here, along with a skein of the Barefoot colorway, which I think will go really nicely. I'm not 100% sure what pattern I want to do. I keep thinking of like the Zweig or the Sipila or Sipila. I don't know, but it'll be something with color work because I only have 3 skeins for the body and then 1 skein of contrast, so it should be good. I cannot get enough of this colorway. It's too good. It's like a pumpkin patch in a skein. I absolutely love it. Can't get enough of it. So I was very happy that by the time I found the Bad Anna's booth, because for some reason walked right by it near the front door, ended up getting there and there was still good selection. Sweater. This is Cedar House Yarns in her sapling sock, which I've used once before. This colorway is Toasted Marshmallow and it is amazing. It's like a dusty rose beige. It's gorgeous and I think it goes with like everybody's skin tone. Everybody can wear this colorway. So I got two skeins of it because I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to use it for, but I do want it to be a shawl. I'm contemplating maybe another Waiting for Rain shawl because that one's really nice and it would just be like a basic good shawl to have, or maybe something by Amba O'Brien. We'll see what happens with it, but I know I'll use it for sure. And then I bought, this is the yarn I originally picked up for a Fintry shawl, which is a pattern that came out pretty recently by the Knox Mountain Knit Co. girls. Ha! It looks like a big black blob of yarn, but it is gorgeous. It's almost got a purple tone to it. It's a DK weight, 100% superwash merino, I believe. Yes. Yes. It's their yearling DK in the ink colorway. I think it's gonna be gorgeous. I don't have a black shawl and I really want one, and I think the Fintry will just be one of those ones that in black I'll wear all the time with everything and you can't go wrong. Black yarn's the way to go. It's gonna stay in the package, so it's gonna be crinkly. I finally got my hands on the Tapas Bar kit or set from Midnight Cravings, and it is gorgeous. So the darkest one is Velvet Plum, then we have Wine Knot, Tapas Bar, Kelp Forest, and Smoke and Mirrors. I am planning on doing the Second Avenue wrap with this, which I think will be gorgeous. However, I'm contemplating maybe something with more frequent striping, maybe like the, what is it, like a Fading Point or the Starting Point by Hoagie Locatelli. I just don't know if I actually could knit either of those patterns, so we will see. I want it to be amazing. And this is on their Lush base, which is a fingering weight 100% superwash merino, and it is so soft, so soft. I also picked up a little mini kit, which I don't usually buy mini skeins of yarn, but this one is just gorgeous. So this one we have Smoke and Mirrors, Larimar, Living Wall, Lettuce Wrap, and Sidewalk. And this is just a gorgeous color palette. It's that minty kind of green in there. It just looks great. Don't know what I'll do with it. Something amazing. But I figured having this option in my stash would be a good one. I could pair it with another green. I could pair it with like a lighter colored skein and do something like the Layer Cake shawl. We'll see what happens. Here comes the Stitch Mischief haul. On day 2, she ended up having a Finch bucket on one of her shelves, and I had to get it. She didn't have any on the first day that really spoke to me in the same way, that I was totally okay leaving at the end of the first day without buying a Finch bucket. But when I saw this one on day 2, I had to get it, and I picked it up literally off the shelf, and a girl came up behind me and was like, "Are you buying that?" I was like, yes, I'm going to, sorry. It's so good. So they are big. They are very, very big. This is obviously some of the Rifle Paper Company fabric with cotton and steel, which I love. I plan on using this just as like a bucket near the coffee table most times, so that I can just kind of throw stuff in it and not have it all over the coffee table, which I think the boyfriend will appreciate. And then I bought some yarn from Jade as well, because I figured, why not? So the first things that caught my eye were these 2 skeins of mint green, and they are kind of that vivid. They're gorgeous. So it's Mint Mist on her sleek sock base, which is an 80/20 superwash merino and nylon, and it's gorgeous. I'm really in love with it. And I'm thinking possibly in a brioche 2-color shawl. I'm not entirely certain, but I know it's going to go into a shawl for sure. And then I saw her Wild Honey colorway, which I thought was gorgeous. Now that I think about it, I should have probably done those 2 together, but I only picked up one of this one. So this is her Wild Honey colorway on the same base, and it's just really, really pretty. And then I picked up 2 skeins of Fog, which is just this really light, beautiful gray colorway on her Decadent fingering base, and I believe she said it was like one of those 17 micron merinos, so it is so soft. And it's a little bit of a looser ply, so it's a little bit plumper. But again, I figured having 2 of these at home couldn't hurt, because they're gorgeous, and I love gray. I could pair gray in a shawl with anything. I could, if I really wanted to, make this a 2-color brioche shawl, and it would actually look pretty damn good. I'm not 100% certain yet, so we'll see what happens. And I think something is happening outside, of course. So that was my Stitch Mischief haul. I'm very excited for it. Very, very happy with everything that managed to come home with me. And I had forgotten to talk about kind of a pre-order in a sense. So Jess formerly of Haven Fiber Arts was coming, and she had discounted a bunch of skeins on her shop before opening up as Midnight Maker yarns, I think. Or is it Midnight Maker knits? I think it's Midnight Maker yarns. And I decided that since I've wanted some more of her yarn for a very, very long time, I would see what was there. She had the sale start while I was working, so when I got off work, I was surprised to find some stuff still in there. So this is Tide Pool, and it's one of my favorite colorways that she's dyed up over the years. And it's on her single sock 1-ply 100% superwash merino wool, so it's just a single. It's pretty. Love it. Then I also picked up, because why not treat yourself, a skein of her Flower Crown colorway, because I've seen a few projects knit up in it and it's always gorgeous. And this is a Sweet Sock MCN, so it's an 80-10-10 superwash merino, nylon, and cashmere. So good, so soft. Not entirely sure what I'll do with it, but I figured can't go wrong. Why not have one? That's that. And actually, let's just shove in all of this yarn that's accumulated beside me into this bag. And we'll see. I mean, that's a lot of yarn in here. Crazy. Now we get into day 2, yarn purchases. So I ended up going back to the Juliet's Lane booth and noticing she had like one whole like standy spinning rack of this yarn, and I didn't really look at it on the first day. Colors are gorgeous, of course, but then I noticed it was sport weight and it's a non-superwash, and I had to have some. So these are the colors I picked out. It's a new base of hers, and it's the Journey Sport. It is 80/20 Rambouillet and Targhee, and it is so squishy and soft. So because this is a new base that she was kind of premiering at Knit City, the colors don't actually have names on them. So this is a very light pink, which depending on how I decide to do the project I'm planning, this may go into a very tiny portion of it. But then there's this kind of almost soft blue gray, which is just really lovely. And then there's this kind of olivey green. So pretty. So these two are definitely going to become, with their brothers and sisters, a pine bough cowl. So this will be my main color, and all the Viney leaf color work will be in the green. And in that pattern, I don't know if it's only twice or 3 times, there's 2 solid stripes that come in, and I was thinking of maybe doing them in the pink. So we'll see kind of what happens. If I don't end up using the pink in that pine bough cowl, I'm thinking just a nice little simple hat in the pink, because it's a really pretty pink, and I think I'll be able to wear it pretty easily. So I'm excited about these. In regards to skein size, they are 56 grams and there's 210 yards per bundle. Not bad. At the Isis Fiber Arts booth, Isis Fiber Arts is Michelle, and then she always has Kim helping her out at the booth, and I go and talk to them every single year. They're great people, but for some reason I've never been able to choose a color to bring home with me. And this year I was determined that I think it needed to come home with me in some capacity, so I did. The first ones I chose are these two. This one actually seems a little bit more, there's a little bit more actual yellow, but it does come out a little bit more golden on this one. And this beautiful tonal blue as well. So this is her DK base, and she's got the coolest cards on them, which I didn't realize until I got them home, but they kind of like fold into each other and open up. The details are inside. So it's her DK base, 100% superwash merino, 231 yards, and there is this colorway, the goldenrod, and then this one is globe thistle. There are 2 new colorways this year, and they just spoke to me. I kept looking at them the whole entire time, so I brought them home. I'm thinking a colorwork project using the 2 of them, possibly a cowl. It'd be like, it's gonna be pretty punchy, but I figured I don't buy a lot of DK weight, and this was just yelling at me from her booth, so they could come home. Even if I just use each one separate, I'm fine with that too. They're just really, Really pretty. And then because I'm an addict, essentially, I couldn't stop looking at the goldenrod colorway on her sparkle base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina, and it's a, I'm gonna say it's a gold stellina in there. Unless it's kind of taken on the dye a little bit. But anyway, there's a crap ton of stellina in here, and it is gorgeous. And, again, that goldenrod, this is a blue. So it's not the globe thistle colorway, this is actually lobelia, I don't know, however it is, it's a flower. But this goldenrod colorway on her fingering base, this fingering sparkle, is so buttery yellow. I love it. So I'm thinking the two of these together as like a mosaic shawl project might be wonderful. And again, kind of punchy, but super great. If not, this could be something for around my neck, and this would make a really fun pair of socks with all that sparkle in there. So fun. I don't think the sparkles are coming up on the video, but trust me, they are there. This one reminds me of like a night sky, starry night sky. It's so sparkly and beautiful. Very excited. And my last yarn purchase of Knit City, which is insane, came from the Valley Yarns booth. And it was literally in the last like 10, maybe 15 minutes of the show. I bought a sweaters quantity. So I have 3 of this silica colorway, which is just like the softest, like dove gray kind of color. And then I'm going to pair it with bear claw, which is like a golden brown. I don't know. It's gorgeous is what it is. So I am planning on designing a colorwork sweater. I'm going to leave it at that for now because I'm so excited about it and I want to start planning it. And it's going to be amazing and I'm so excited, and I'm very happy that I decided to look at the Valley Yarns booth again before the show closed. So, hey! Other little things, literally a few. So I bought this very cute little, like, I don't even think it's linen. It's like a little canvas, cotton canvas tote, or a drawstring bag actually, from Seawall Fibers, because this little Nut the Knitter, Nut the Viking character is adorable. I know I said I was getting away from cutesy things, but I'm sorry. This, adorable. Too good. And I bought the matching little enamel pin, which isn't going to focus, but it's adorable. Firefly Notions booth, I think is what she calls it. Firefly Notes. Firefly Notes. She does the tins with like the resin over the pictures, and they're adorable. But she had a post about having little tiny sheep buttons. Can't see those, I'll have to put in a picture maybe. But they're cute little like brass backed buttons with little images of sheep on them. They're so cute. I only got 3. I'm thinking if I do like a little, like a Henley style sweater, I can just have like 3 buttons with sheep heads on them. Adorable. And then she also, she does progress keepers and stitch markers. And I found this one, and it's a little clove of garlic. I know you're not going to be able to see it, but I couldn't not have it. So, great. And that was basically Knit City in purchases. People that I only really see once a year, which kind of makes me sad, but I'm so glad to spend that time with them every year because it's just so good for the soul. What did we do? Saturday night, I ended up going out for dinner with Sarah and Bernadette to Tacofino because that's, you have to go there. Knit City weekend, and it was amazing. It was so good. And then we went over to Parallel 49 Brewery, which was insanely busy. And we had a few other people meet up with us there, but we kind of had to stay at 2 separate tables because it was so crowded. The funniest part of being there was, I guess it was also like Oktoberfest weekend. And there was this guy alone in full up like lederhosen getup, which was weird but amazing kind of all at the same time. So that was a hoot. Sunday I ended up just coming home. I didn't kind of stick around and hang out with people. I was pretty tired, pretty exhausted. Came home, just took it easy. Cataloged my yarn, and I started planning that much more. So depending on what I feel I need to cast on next, I'm not entirely sure. There are so many options right now that I decided to go on a yarn diet, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to stick to it for a good chunk of time. I don't need anything else. I really, really don't. I have a lot. I just brought a lot home. And luckily over the past probably year and a half, I've started to really buy yarn with intention and with projects in mind behind them. So a lot of the stash has kind of destinations already, which makes me feel good. I just have to get to them. So in regards to further stash videos, I think I want to do some, I had to clean up the stash first and like get everything in there, but I'm thinking what I want to do, I know I've talked about them, but I do want to do some stash videos, but it'll kind of be like chronicles of the stash or something like that. I think the first one I'm going to go through is probably sweater quantities, I believe, because that seems to be a big bulk of it nowadays. Literally takes up a lot of space. And since I'm still very into sweaters, they're kind of on my mind. I have a decent amount of shawl yarn kind of set aside for specific shawls as well, so that should be a separate one. And socks, because I'm not really planning socks. It's not like I buy a pair. It's not like I buy a skein of sock yarn and go, this has to be this pattern specifically. No, if it's going to be a pair of socks, it's going to be a pair of socks. It doesn't really matter too much. But I think that'll be fun. I just have to get the stash organized, which I just had to sit down and do it and pull everything out and organize it. Ugh. But I feel like I might get another episode out pretty soon, depending on what's going on. Thank you so much for joining me. If I saw you during Knit City weekend, I didn't take a whole lot of photos, especially on the first day. It was crazy. Thank you so much for chit-chatting to me or even just saying hi. It's always great to chit-chat with people. One of the crazy things of the weekend is it's gotten bigger and bigger every year, which is great. But I feel like I don't know what they're gonna do next. I mean, bringing in other big vendors, sure, fine. Harrisville Tweed would be great to see. But I just don't know what they can do other than maybe, I guess, bring in new instructors and teachers and lecturers and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they have in mind for next year. I doubt I'll take classes because that just hasn't seemed to be something I'm into either. If you have taken classes, be it even at like a yarn store, what is it that you like about a class? What is it that makes you see like a class that's available and go, ooh, I want to take that? Is it just the fact that you get to hang out with perhaps this like knitting guru for 3-4 hours? Is that what makes it like intrigue? I really don't know. Because I mean, I've seen the list of instructors year after year, and yeah, sure, there's some pretty cool people on there, but I haven't gone. I don't know why. I did run into the Yarn Harlot, who is Stephanie Pearl McPhee, which I have seen her kind of walking by in other years as well, but I've never had the courage to go up to her, and this year I just said, screw it, I'm going up. I'm gonna be like, hi Stephanie. So we did get a picture with Stephanie, which I believe she was like on break before having to teach an afternoon class. So hopefully she got some shopping in. I tried not to take up a lot of her time, but she's a pretty great person. I think maybe if she did the lecture next year I would go, so we'll see what happens there. But I am now just rambling and don't know where to go from this because I feel like I have another yarn over from just pulling everything out and looking at how beautiful it is. I've got things brewing in my mind. I've got inspiration. I'm excited. I have to take the time to assess and decide where I want to go with things. Do I want to cast on like a mindless shawl? I think the Fintry shawl might need to happen kind of ASAP because it's a DK weight shawl and it's a little heavier. It'll be good for like the cooler months, so that might be happening soon. Stay tuned. I'll get back to you. We'll see what's going on. Yeah, thanks for tuning into the Crazy of Knit City weekend recap. Makes my head all flabbergasted. I guess that's a good way to put it. I don't know. We'll see how this turns out. Alright. Bye guys. We'll see you next time.